Every night, you flip a switch. And in a second, the dark disappears. But for 99.9% of human history, that switch did not exist. There were no streetlights, no screens, and no artificial glow. In that darkness, you couldn't even see your own hand. And beyond the fire, something might already be watching you. For our ancestors, the night was not peaceful. It was survival. For nearly 300,000 years, they lived half their lives inside that darkness. So what did human beings do during all those hours? Because the answer may change what you believe about sleep, silence, and quiet minds. So let's go back to the oldest human technology, the fire. In the dark, the flame was not decoration. It was a wall. Inside its circle, you could see faces, hands, and intent. Outside it, the world belonged to eyes that hunted better than you did. This is why silence mattered. At night, noise was information. Movement was a message. A careless step in the grass could invite teeth, and that's the forgotten twist. Many quiet people aren't broken by modern life. They are tuned for the conditions that shaped us, watchful, economical, alert. To understand your silence, we have to understand the survival logic that trained it. So when you feel overwhelmed by today's brightness, remember, your brain expects shadows. In a world ruled by darkness, being loud was not confidence. It was a mistake. At night, the human eye is weaker than many predators. Your body is slower. Your skin is easier to tear. So the tribe learned a simple rule without writing it down. Stay close to the fire and keep your signals small, because every signal travels. A snapped twig, a cough, a careless laugh. In the daytime, those sounds mean nothing. At night, they become coordinates. The forest does not need your name. It only needs your position. This is where quiet begins to look different. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is control. It is the decision to gather information before you spend energy. The quiet person watches faces in the firelight. They notice who is restless. They notice who is calm. They notice the wind shift, the sudden pause of insects, the way the dark feels too still. And when something moves beyond the circle, the loud person wastes time reacting. The quiet person is already oriented. They already know where to look. They already saved the tribe a second of confusion. In nature, 1 second is not small. 1 second is the distance between a warning and a wound. So if you grew up thinking your gentleness was weakness, it kept the group from attracting the wrong eyes. Silence was survival logic, and that expectation shows up in the most modern place possible, your sleep. For most of history, humans did not try to sleep like machines. They slept like animals, responsive to light, cold, and danger. When the sun disappeared, people went to bed earlier than we do, but they did not always stay asleep until morning. Old letters and diaries describe a pattern: a first sleep, then a quiet waking interval, then a second sleep. The middle space had a name in some places: the watch. To a modern brain, waking at 2 a.m. feels like failure. To an older brain, it was normal. You woke, checked the fire, and listened for footsteps. Maybe you whispered a few words. Maybe you prayed. Maybe you just stared into the dark. Then you returned to sleep, as if the night had 2 chapters. Electric light collapsed those chapters into one. It stretched the evening, delayed bedtime, and trained us to expect an uninterrupted block again. So when the old rhythm reappears, we call it a problem. Sleep scientist Thomas Vare tested what happens when modern people live with long nights and no artificial light. When darkness returns, many bodies drift into a 2-phase rhythm. Several hours of sleep, a wakeful gap, then several more hours of sleep. It's not proof that everyone should sleep this way. Stress, illness, and anxiety can also wake you. But it is evidence that our system can still run that program when the environment allows it. This changes the way you label yourself. If you wake up in the middle of the night and your mind feels strangely clear, you are not automatically broken. You may be touching an older natural rhythm, one designed for a world where midnight was a checkpoint, not a glitch. And that raises a deeper question. What happens inside the brain during the watch? Because the night is chemically different, and the next piece of the puzzle sits in your hormones. During the watch, something quiet happens inside the body. In darkness, the brain does not receive the same signals that keep us alert. Instead, the nervous system can slide into a slower, softer mode, half awake, half dreaming. Some research and historical discussion point to prolactin rising during night sleep and remaining elevated into that wakeful interval. Prolactin is often associated with bonding and calm, and in this context, it may contribute to a feeling of peace. Not supernatural peace, biological peace. That's why many people describe the watch as strangely clear. You are awake, but you are not hungry for stimulation. You do not need to perform. You can sit by the fire, stare at the shadows, and feel your thoughts line up without force. For quiet minds, this is a hidden advantage. While the loud world demands constant output, the night offers deep reflection. Memories organize, emotions settle, ideas appear. It can feel like meditation, even if you never learned how to meditate. This is also where authority can enter the story, as a sense of something larger than you. When the village is silent and the sky is wide, you become humble. You listen, you evaluate. You choose your next step more carefully. Don't instantly label it as damage. Sometimes it is your system doing maintenance in its oldest language, darkness and stillness. Our culture treats night like wasted time. It orders you to shut down or grind harder. That is the next trap we need to name. The word curfew comes from an older command: cover the fire. In medieval towns, a bell rang at night. People were told to put out flames, close doors, and stop moving. It wasn't only about rules. It was about survival in a world where one spark could burn the whole street. Modern life flipped the idea. Now the world tells you to keep the fire on bright screens, late emails, endless noise. Then it demands you fall asleep in one clean block and wake up ready to perform. If you can't, it calls you lazy. Modern curfew is constant light. Quiet people feel it first. Their nervous system was built to downshift at night, reflect, listen. Deny that rhythm, and you don't become stronger. You become irritated and scattered. Escaping is not dramatic. It is a small rebellion. Turn down the lights. Protect an hour of silence. Treat midnight wakefulness as a window, not a defect. Keep a private flame inside you. Stop letting modern life label your wiring as a mistake. Respect your silence as an ancestral gift. Your silence is not a social bug. It is a bridge. For 300,000 years, humans learned the night by listening. They learned to wait, to notice, to think before they spoke. That programming did not vanish with light bulbs and deadlines. It is still inside you. It's 300,000 years of programming, an ancestral instinct that survives every modern distraction today too. Stop trying to cure yourself with noise. Stop performing brightness to earn permission to exist. Protect your natural rhythm. Honor the watch. Make room for deep reflection. When you choose silence, you are not disappearing. You are practicing the same skill that kept families alive: attention. Let the loud world talk. Your job is to listen. You are an ancient soul. Act like it.